welcome to our webinar today on how to enhance our marketing opportunities. We're going to go through a whole heap of features that are really essential to finding out this kind of data that's going to be really useful to us, like our surveys and our automated contact. We're going to go through a few of our reports, like our guest origin report and our guest data report, that are going to show all of this information that we've collected, or lots of it. And then obviously our marketing campaigns. So our Newbook marketing campaign module and our integration with Mailchimp and how they kind of feed through. So basically all of these are just really essential features that will help you find out more about your guests, more about your bookings, so that you know where to put all of your energy into marketing of those beautiful emails that you're going to start sending out to your guests to draw them back to stay. We want to make sure they're as relevant as possible. So the more data we can collect, the better that those promotions are going to be, which means the more bookings that are going to drop in, and the better or the higher our revenue will be as well. So all feeds through beautifully. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to start with our surveys. So some of you may have already set them up. If you don't have them already, definitely have a bit of a play. There's some great knowledge-based articles that walk you through. So definitely put that on your to-do list. From a marketing perspective of getting information about our guests and finding out what great promotions we want to send out, or maybe anything kind of else of why our guests are coming with us, I've created a survey called Why Us. If you haven't looked at this before, we're basically just creating a survey, filtering through the people that we want to make sure are getting this survey, and allowing us to select when that survey goes out. So for this particular example, I've just got an after departure survey going to my guests that have obviously departed. And I'm just asking them a few little simple key questions of: how much did you enjoy your holiday? What attracted you to the area that I'm in on the beautiful sunny Gold Coast? I want to know what made my guests choose here of all the locations. Is it things like the beautiful walking tracks, the theme parks, the beaches? It really is a beautiful place. So that's going to help me know what my guests are interested in and why they're kind of picking this particular location over everywhere else in the world. I also have a few other questions about how did you hear about us specifically? So how did they hear about my property? I've left that as an open-ended question. They can tell me their friends or family that stayed there. If they went to Google, they can literally pop in anywhere or any of that info. And that's going to help me figure out, of the guests that are staying with me, where is it they're hearing about me? So once again, I can pop more of my effort into making sure that we keep that up to date, that we keep those kind of great promotions available on that kind of area. How likely are you to come back to stay with us? So how well did we meet those criteria? All of those wonderful things that attracted them to the local area and to our property specifically. Did we meet them? Are there things that we're maybe lacking that maybe we need to start working on to improve that? And 3 things that you enjoyed while staying with us. So prompting those guests to tell us, what are the 3 things? What are the things that we can advertise that are going to draw more and more guests with us? Because obviously, if they're enjoying it, that's something we can promote to other guests that want to book with us. Even this question here, how's the booking process? So you may have noticed I added a booking source filter up the top here to just include my OTAs, so my online travel agents. So I've only sent that particular question out to them, or this could be my survey just to those guests that didn't book direct, finding out how that booking process was, maybe even finding out or asking extra questions about what they offered that I didn't. Because we want to drive our direct bookings. We don't want to pay commissions where we don't have to. So by finding out and asking our guests literally why they booked with those OTAs over booking with us direct, that's going to help us go, oh, perfect. That channel offered a better cancellation policy or a cheaper rate or something. Or it was easier for them to book extra add-ons. Whatever that might be, we can then make that the same or better on our own page. So all of this data, really great to ensure that obviously we're getting those direct bookings. And for that example there as well, we also have a survey response. So for those guests that have booked through other channels or just literally any of our guests, I've added in some nice little emails that go out to them to try and convince them to stay again. So this could just literally be a nice little email saying, hey, here's a very convenient link to our online booking page. We want to see you back again. It could have things like our interactive promotions. So our scratch and win deals. So our guests can click on a link that will take them to a nice little area. They can scratch to win some prizes like discounts or hidden rate applications or Newbook online sales. Once again, especially for our channels, if we're paying 12% for a booking, offering a guest 10% for their future stay is still actually making us money and also making our guests super happy, which is fantastic. And kind of getting them into the habit of going to our webpage over anywhere else. So all of these things can help us gather the information that we want to know about our guests, about why they picked, once again, our location in the general area, why they picked our particular property, why they're coming to stay with us, so that we can then take that information and pop it in some of our future marketing campaigns and emails we send through, so that we can, once again, just give them that link to book with us direct and go those extra bookings through. Now, up the top here, you do have the option to adjust when you send out these surveys. Some clients do have a send when after a booking's been placed. So straight away while it's fresh, once again, finding how the booking process was, what were the good things, what were the bad things, so we can update our side of things. It can also be after departure. So obviously getting that full bit of information about what they thought about their holiday. So definitely, yeah, jump into there, have a bit of a play. Within there are a whole heap of really great reports related to those surveys. Our surveys results list take all of that great data in a really convenient, easy spot to see what our guests are saying. So we can see the average ratings, we can see which results that they've been selecting, once again, to use those statistics and those responses to be able to, once again, market more effectively in the future. Our results report just goes through this in a little bit more detail. So rather than the specific responses, kind of a nice little snapshot of the overall. And completion, obviously, how much our surveys have been completed if we need to make it a little bit more fun to get that more data. Within here, there are other filters that are good to look at as well. Within here, things like booking source. How did they hear about us? How did that booking drop in? Was it our online website? Was it one of our channels? Booking method, was it a walk-in booking or was it an online booking? Where are we getting more of our bookings or our guest booking? Once again, so we know where to market. If it's more walk-ins because they saw a sign down the end of the road that was showcasing us, perfect. We want to make that sign bigger and brighter. If it's more online bookings, awesome. Let's find out where so that we can, once again, pop all of those great campaigns where our guests can see them front and center to draw more people in. Booking reasons, that's also a really important bit of information. Why are they making that booking with you? Is it that they're having a holiday? Are they a worker and their corporation needs to pay for them to stay at a place? All this data is going to help us figure out if we need to have corporate packages, or even if we continue down here to things like bookings with children or animals. Do we need to target things to be more pet friendly or child friendly? And once again, these surveys can allow us to use these filters to have different surveys feeding out, because if being child friendly is a really big priority for us, we just want to ask our guests that had children how the child facilities were, how our play area was, because obviously our couples aren't going to really know much. They haven't tested it out, and they might get a bit bored filling out a survey where the questions aren't relevant to them. So once again, this gives us the opportunity to tailor make these surveys to find out the data that we need to know from the guests that we need to know. So once again, have a play, have a look, and definitely set these up. We're going to jump into another way that we can kind of, I suppose, send out these great emails, not just as a marketing campaign. but our auto contacts. So if you haven't looked at this page before, it's really as simple as selecting the contact template, so the email, the SMS that you want to send to your guest, and you can completely customize what you want that one to say and when you want to send it. So for instance, maybe one day before departure, or maybe we want to have a pre-arrival email going out to our guest. Now, these pre-arrival emails can act as a really great marketing tool to send out to our guests and go, hey, why not add all of these extras to your booking? So if you have things like facilities or activities, or just even little extras that your guests can add to their booking to increase your overall revenue and to give the guests a little bit of added value. For instance, if they're going camping, why not offer some firewood? It doesn't go off. You can store it in the back shed, and it's going to make life easier for your guests that might have kids and don't have the time to go to the shops to get that. It's already there on their site, ready to go. And obviously you get that extra money for just literally having it on site anyway. So all of those different things, you can create a contact template, pop it into that particular email or SMS that triggers out, and the guest can add it directly to their booking, making life really easy. And once again, increasing your revenue, which is good. Within here, you can also, if you have the paperless check-in module, trigger out a link for your guests to sign your terms and conditions prior to arrival. Really good to keep your guests responsible and know what is expected of them while they are on that property. Now, with that one, on the form itself, you can then use that form to record things like, I'm going to keep saying, booking reason, booking source, booking demographic. These kind of 4 key areas are areas that pull through into a lot of areas of Newbook. So you can use a lot of reports that track these filters. And if we can get that information from our guests, like using our online form there, that makes life a lot easier for us, and then pulls through that data to our reports when we then want to start sending out those offers to our guests. Once again, so we can target the best offers to the right people and not spam our guests. We don't want our guests to think that we're literally just sending them emails that aren't important to them. We don't want that to happen. We want them to see only things that benefit them. So by getting this information, that's going to help us make sure it stays relevant. And therefore, the guest keeps looking at those great deals that we keep sending to them and eventually makes that future booking or forwards it to those great deals to their friends and family. So we can use these different filters to, once again, filter that through. We can use that paperless check-in to get that information from our guests as well. Within here, same kind of thing as with our surveys, we can add in these particular filters. Once again, if we do have guests that have or bookings with children, we can maybe make our booking confirmation or our pre-arrival email only show things that obviously are relevant to families. So keeping that correspondence relevant, making sure the things that are going to benefit the guests are showing there. Because if we are showcasing our kids' face painting that we have at the property, or maybe Halloween coming up, we might have a cool maze or something that our kids can wander through, or just literally lollies and chocolates that we want to sell them for that time. That could be a really good idea to have those emails trigger out with those quick and easy links for your guests to add those items to their booking. So you increase your revenue and you make your property, I suppose, increase its value to the guest. You're showing that there is more than just a bed for them to get if they book with you. There's all these other cool things or events or activities or extras that they can just simply click to add. So these things are really, really handy to, once again, keep relevant. For your guests, obviously, when they do leave, you can also go that after departure as an alternative or as well as our survey. Once again, just thanking your guests for staying and maybe just giving them that link to the booking page, maybe giving them once again that interactive promotion link that you just want them to win that prize so that they can stay with you again, or yeah, just literally anything you kind of want to remind them that they had a good time and they want to book again and they want to give you that great word of mouth to friends and family and maybe even online as well. That works a little bit better with when you pop it into surveys. Cool. So once again, all of these great areas. Finally, on this section, if we jump back to booking source, that one day after departure, this can be a really good idea to deal with those OTAs that sometimes don't give you that guest email address. You could have instead an SMS that would trigger just to those channels or anyone that basically didn't call or book direct, making sure that you're sending those particular links to them as an SMS, because usually we do get that mobile information from our guests. So that guest can then book with you direct that way. So have a bit of a play with that and figure out what works best. But yeah, some emails through channels don't feed through or can get restricted. So we want to make sure we can still reach out to those particular guests. Cool. Okay, so I keep spouting on about a whole heap of reports that you can see all of those filters like these ones here, and you can tweak things to obviously see more about your guests and the bookings that they're placing. So one of those reports is our guest origin report. So we're going to jump into that one here. I'm just going to run that one here. Cool. We see a beautiful map of Australia. It's giving me a nice visual representation of where all of my guests are coming through from. So poor Western Australia, you guys haven't been checking out my training database much. And down the below, it gives a summary as well of that breakdown. So state by state, I can see, obviously being in Queensland, that most of my bookings are coming through from Queensland. However, my booking revenue is actually getting more from all of those unknowns. So I know I want to make sure my guests or my staff members keep recording that guest address information. But I also want to do things like for my New South Wales guests, I can see I'm still getting quite a few bookings from them. I can see they're generally staying for about a 3-night stay. That lets me know, awesome, maybe I'm going to target or create a marketing promotion that might be a stay 5, pay 4. I'm still getting that extra night's worth of revenue from my New South Wales, but they're getting that better value of only paying 4 nights when they should pay 5. So that's a promotion that could definitely benefit from my New South Wales. For my Queenslanders, I can see they stay a little bit longer, so I know straight away I might want to promote to them specifically more longer stay options. So I can use all of this data to basically figure out what works best. I can even break this down by jumping to my settings at the bottom by postcode if I really want to narrow it down. I can also filter these by different filters like our source, reason, method, and demographic. So really narrowing it down to exactly what I want to see on this page. I also have guests from other countries jumping in here as well. So if I wanted to adjust my map focus country, I can click into that button down below. So this is giving me all the data I need to know about where my guests are coming through from, which is going to help me with figuring out how to market to all of those guests. Now, if I did have school holidays, obviously all of our states seem to have different school holidays all the time, which is great. But if I knew I wanted to reach out to all of my my New South Wales guests to send a great promotion to them or to see more information about those particular guests, I could view selected bookings. And select and then view selected bookings. And then that's going to pull through my guests. I can see a bit more information about them. And if I wanted to target that great school holiday promotion, I can see, these are the only guests that actually had kids, or I can just send through to everybody with send contact. And that'll send that beautiful contact template I've created to all of those guests. So everyone has that great one, and it's tailored to them and maybe the dates that those school holidays are running. If I want to go even further and not just report on where my guests are coming through from, I can also use my guest data report. What this does is allows you to create all these saved reports, so kind of like saved views of these settings. And down the bottom, how I create these is I just literally create my filters. So this is where I can target for this particular campaign that I'm thinking up right now, who is it I want to target? So Queensland school holidays, we'll use that as an example. I want to target and use this filter to just target my guests that were staying or that are from Queensland. And I want to create another filter. I maybe only want to have, because it's school holidays, I only want to target guests that have had bookings with children. So I can pop that in there as well. Save another. And maybe I, for some reason, only want to target specific booking sources. And I might just use Newbook Online because that's nice and handy, and save. So these are building my target audience. Who is going to meet this criteria? When I then use the settings down below here and run my report, it's going to give me a full list of every guest that has stayed with me that meets exactly those criteria. I can customize the columns that will appear. So maybe I don't need to know their phone numbers or mobiles or email addresses. I just need to know that I can email them. I might not need to know their street or their city. But maybe I wanted to see booked by or booking reasons and things like that. But I might just leave it like so. Save. If I know I'm going to be using this report again, I can actually save that particular report. I'm just going to click run. And that's just going to give me that full list of all of my guests that I'm going to start reaching out to. And I can see, obviously, in my training database that I've been very slack at recording my booking demographics. So that's probably something that would have helped me even further in creating that target audience. Now, all of this is just creating our target audience. We then need to know where we're sending that email. So if you have a Mailchimp account, you can link in our Mailchimp integration to feed through this data to Mailchimp. Basically, what that would do is create an extra column, just about here, with an arrow. That arrow means that once you've created that data or once you're ready to send out a great report, you can click that one button. It will feed through all of those guests' names and email addresses to Mailchimp and link to the audience within Mailchimp. So you can have a section in there that's your Queensland guests with children. That then allows Newbook to know where to send it. Mailchimp then can go, oh, perfect. We've got that target audience. We'll use their beautiful contact templates to trigger out some beautiful emails to go to those guests, to try and draw them back. And once again, they're relevant emails because we've already filtered who is going to get the most benefit from knowing those things. Within that as well, so that will feed through. You can have different audiences and link to those different audiences with that arrow button. So whenever you're ready, you can feed that across. Now, within Newbook, we have our own marketing campaign module, which does the same thing. It just gives you a lot more control over what your templates are going to look like. It obviously means that data is ready to go. So for instance, if you click that button and one extra booking is dropped in, we already have that extra data and it's the most up to date with who our targeted audience is going to be, which is very handy. So if we jump on back, actually, before we do, one last filter here I want to show you, which will make more sense when we jump into our marketing campaigns. When you start sending out these marketing campaigns, there's also an extra filter here of who has opened those marketing campaigns sent from Newbook. So that means if, for instance, you send through a beautiful Valentine's special, early bird special for Valentine's next year, if there's any guest that didn't open that marketing email, you can then basically jump into your contact templates, maybe even just change the email subject to something more catchy, because we can straight away see that particular subject line did not work. Maybe none of our guests have actually opened that, or only half. We can change that email subject. Everything else can be exactly the same. And we can then trigger this next marketing campaign to just go to our guests that haven't opened up our Valentine's Day marketing module that we sent the day before. So we're not spamming our guests that have already opened it. We're just trying to see what works best in order to get those guests opening those emails. So that's really great data that we can use to find out what key phrases are drawing our guests back, that are getting them to open those emails, and obviously then continue with making those bookings. Even if you wanted to kind of reward guests for consistently opening all your marketing emails, you can do things like that as well, which works quite handy. But let's jump into our marketing module. So marketing campaign. You can see I've got a few marketing campaigns created here. Obviously, being a training database, there's not too much data, but I'm sure you can all use your imaginations. If I wanted to create a brand new one, I simply click the Add Marketing Campaign button. It might be my Valentine's Day for next year. And then I can select who this particular campaign is going through from. And this pulls through from my guest data report. So this could be my guests, Queenslanders with kids, if it was during that school holiday period. Can't remember when they, oh no, that'd just be when they're getting back to school. I can pull through those particular ones. These two settings are the same as what we saw on the guest data report. So whatever settings worked best for your guests, you can select. Contact template. What is it that we're actually sending out to our guests? What is the text? And this could be free typed. You can literally type in whatever you'd like it to say. Or you can, I'm just going to jump into this template here. There are a whole heap of beautiful free email template websites and programs that already have a gorgeous something set up already and have lots of different ideas of those templates you might want to send out to your guest. Now, of those, some of those allow you to copy their source code. And because Newbook allows you to paste that source code into these contact templates, that means that gobbledygook of computer code, you can paste in here. And then when you go to send that to your guests, they get a beautifully formatted, gorgeous photos template to go straight out. So if you're not particularly tech savvy or you don't have much time to create or build something beautiful, you can literally go to those free sites to copy what's already there and just simply tweak it. Maybe adjust the photos, maybe adjust that particular photo if it doesn't match, pop through different text or tweak it to make it your own. That means my beautiful guests are going to get these fantastic offers for next Valentine's Day. That's going to look a lot more professional than just plain text. Obviously, plain text works just as well as long as you're giving them something that they're going to want. So by reviewing all of the stats that they've been giving you through those surveys, of finding out what they're interested in, that's going to help you no matter what in figuring out what they want to see. We also have the option as well, if you are short on time, our lovely creative team do design these or build these for you. So you can literally have a nice little default one. Maybe you want to have a newsletter as a marketing campaign every month that just tells your guests what's happening at your property, what new deals and discounts you might have. Our creative team can build a beautiful little newsletter template, and you can just copy and duplicate and tweak what you need to for every month. So let us know if you would like our team to design anything there for you, or feel free to jump onto those free tools to create some extra cool ones, or just literally type something up in your contact templates, really quick and easy. Okay, so jumping, hold on, move that away. Jumping back to our marketing campaign. So once we've got that beautiful template, we can then select it from the drop down. Just pick the one at the top. We can choose which email addresses we want to send it through to for the guests if they had multiple, what day we want to send that particular template out, what email address that we want it to show it's sending from. So if we want our guests to be able to respond back to that email to that admin at, we can adjust that here. Sending method, and obviously save. I might just actually switch that to this one. I think that's going to be a bit better. Actually, no, we'll leave it with there. Cool. So we've got our marketing campaign all created. We then obviously go to send it out. Just before we do, it's going to tell us down the bottom, if I selected a better data source to start with, how many emails are going to be sent based on the guests that meet that criteria today. So it's letting us know, obviously, I just saw that it was 0, so I'd selected the wrong data source. It's letting me know there's lots of emails that are going to go out to lots of potential guests that are going to make bookings, hopefully. Okay, jumping back to our marketing campaigns, we're going to jump into one that officially has been sent, just not because it's in a training database. So not so many stats in here. All the information up the top, just like normal, what we saw before. But we'd have a few extra numbers down the bottom here. So our sent tells us how many emails were actually sent out to our guests. Our opens and our unique opens are referring to our guests actually opening those emails. Unique refers to, for instance, if there was one guest that opened it 10 times. We have one unique guest, so it would show one open, but it was opened 10 times. So that would show 10. So we're seeing if guests are opening it more and clicking back into it, or if that deal is so appealing, they've clicked into it and already kind of made that booking. Unopened, obviously letting us know that that email subject was not catchy enough. Our clicks and unique clicks work similar to our opens and unique opens in that if we've got those links to our website or to other channels or to other areas or different URLs, if there was a guest that clicked once or clicked 10 times, one unique click, but 10 actual clicks of that link. Now, this bit on the right-hand side, we want this number to be 0 as much as possible. We want to know that we're having accurate email addresses from our guests and that they aren't, I suppose, leaving us on junk. We are definitely unjunk mailed and not disappearing to their junk folder. And we also want to make sure, if anything, that we aren't getting any unsubscribes. We don't want our guests to open those emails and go, oh, no, not another one, or that's not relevant. If that number is high, that means we need to go back to the drawing board of figuring out more information about our guests to keep those emails relevant. Because the second they unsubscribe, that means we can't send them through those great offers. We can't keep telling them about those great promotions and things that are happening at our property, which means they're not getting those emails. They're not getting reminded about how much fun they had previously and how much they want to stay with us again. So keeping those target audiences specific to what you're sending out is really important because we want to make sure we stay relevant, that they're things that our guests want to know about, because that's going to mean at the end of it, more revenue for us. Now, something that our clients have done that I think is absolutely fantastic is with these bounce and unsubscribes. Newbook actually gives a full list of those guests that have, for instance, bounced or invalid emails. Down the bottom here, we have our recipients and our email addresses and the reason of why they didn't go through. So if we can see for one of our recipients that the email address was marked as invalid and it was bob@ggmail.com, we know Bob or our staff have accidentally added an extra G to that email address. We can literally click onto the recipient and quickly tweak that. So it is correct. We know for future marketing campaigns, Bob is going to get a copy of that. And obviously as well, that if we do send any normal correspondence to him, we've got his correct email and file. If we don't quite know, it's not that simple. The email address doesn't seem to make too much sense. We can then make sure to click onto Bob's guest and add a bit of a note that we need to, next time that Bob makes a booking with us, make sure that we are actually recording his correct email address. If it is something that is coming up as junk, once again, we can add a note. So if that guest comes to stay with us again, we can double check that our emails aren't disappearing into the junk folder, that they have whitelisted us, which basically means our emails will always appear in the inbox. We also have our unsubscribed emails. So people that have gone, this campaign isn't relevant. They want to stop getting those beautiful emails from us with all of those great deals and discounts. We definitely want to, once again, click onto that recipient and to find out or to click on in to add a note to maybe get our staff to straight away, when that guest makes a future booking, find out why. We do get a reason that can be recorded here when the guests give us that data. So we can see maybe it's not relevant or whatever reason they've kind of popped in there from the drop down. So we can see all of that. But it's better to reach out to that guest to get that little bit more info if you can. Some clients even for instance, if Bob made a booking with us, he's unsubscribed from our beautiful marketing campaigns. Some staff actually go, oh, Bob, we noticed you paid 100% for your booking. Did you not see our beautiful promotion for 50% that was on last week? It actually just turned off yesterday. It's such a shame you missed it. Now, that deal could or could never have actually existed. That guest doesn't know because they weren't subscribed to your marketing campaigns. If you want to be a bit more honest, you can actually just tell them what actual offers you have been offering and showcasing the value of them actually getting those emails. Now, if that guest goes, oh, actually, now I see the relevance of getting those emails, you can literally jump into their booking or where we've got that note, adjust their guest. So we can see our little unsubscribe from marketing reminder for our staff. We can jump into our guest, and where if they unsubscribe, that would have unticked, we can just retick it. So if Jane says, actually, yes, we do want to still be part of it, we can retick that button and she'll start getting those great deals all over again. So really good from her point of view because she's going to start seeing those wonderful offers and really great from us because we can keep reaching out to her after we've confirmed that. So definitely try and use this data. It is a lot of great data to see how successful these campaigns are, and obviously continue with what works and adjust what doesn't. Now, within that, within that marketing email, I keep kind of mentioning a few different statistics or a few different bits of data like booking source, demographic reasons. That can be information that your staff can collect or that your guest can enter in at the time of booking. So if I go to add a new booking, I've set these extra fields as required fields. So when my staff are actually getting that call and basically collecting that booking information, method they're going to know they're chatting to or they're a walk-in, so they can easily update that themselves. They can ask the guest, hey, why are you actually having that holiday? Well, why are you staying with us? Is it that you are having a holiday? Is it a business thing? Why are you having, or why did you decide to stay with us? That guest is going to like that. We're asking them questions about themselves. Always good to build that guest rapport, and staff can enter that here, which is pulling through to all of our different reports, to all of our different filters as well for auto contacts and surveys. Once again, being a really great wealth of data. Booking source. So how did they hear about us? Did they hear about us going to Airbnb and then booking via that way? Did they hear about us from word of mouth or referrals? So we can once again ask that guest, how did they hear about us? Booking demographics, you don't usually need to ask for. If we have a booking for 2 adults and Bob says, yep, him and his wife are staying, we can pretty much figure out that it's a couple. You can add in all of these different demographics and sources and reasons and methods based on what actually happens at your property so that these lists are relevant to you. But then we can record that and select it from here. So all of these bit of information basically feeds through exactly what the field is called. So if I go booking source, I can go to my booking source and add those booking sources. So if I know they're generally booking because there's a really cool event down the road, a festival, I can pop in that as one of the booking reasons. Booking demographics, if I know I generally got lots of corporates or workers, I can pop that in as my booking demographic. So my staff have that available to them to quickly add in when they're manually placing a booking. As I mentioned before, paperless check-in can also feed through those 4 little fields so that our guests can fill it in. Or if they are booking online, on the checkout page, you can actually pop them right up the top here as well. So they can once again select why it is they're making or having that holiday with you. Some of them you can actually translate, like this is actually the booking source, but we've made it a bit more guest friendly by translating it to how did you hear about us? And how you do that is within Newbook, there's a section called instance translations. I've literally found my booking sources, and just for my Newbook online side of things, it's actually going to translate and show instead, how did you hear about us? So making it really clear to guests what it is that we're asking, because booking source might not be a term that they've heard before. And you can do the same thing with booking demographics of, hey, who is coming to stay? So quick and easy to update that kind of data. Now, with all of those bookings and your guests giving you that information, you can then use those reports that I keep yammering on about. There's lots of them within Newbook that basically most of them will pull through that kind of data. One of those that works really well is your booking staying report. So if I look, let's say for the year, I can adjust a whole heap of these settings down the bottom if I'd like to, but I'm just going to run as is for now. And I can see that of the bookings staying over the last year, what my breakdown is of booking sources. Where are my bookings coming through from? I can see in bright yellow, this is definitely the biggest chunk. So most of my bookings are coming through from Newbook Online. Fantastic. And I can see that breakdown as well, that I had 62 bookings that came through with this amount of revenue for this amount of length. And that contributes to about 107 different adults. Now, scrolling down that list, I can also see that I've got some, or the highest average revenue is actually being made by my Instagram. So whatever I've been popping onto Instagram, it might be photos of my property, it might be great deals. That's where my highest spenders seem to be coming through from. So I can use that data to once again make sure that I'm taking the time to get my staff to pop some beautiful updates on Instagram, but still keeping my Newbook Online side of things obviously nice and busy as well, because it's getting me the most amount of bookings. Whereas some of our other ones here are a little bit lower. I can make sure I'm maybe not putting quite as much effort into those bookings that aren't really making me much money. So I can focus my efforts where it's actually going to help me increase that revenue and get more bookings. Same thing, using those occupants on the right-hand side, I can see if I'm getting lots of children's stays. If it is a really child-friendly thing that I'm trying to promote, I can see those particular areas aren't really getting it. But I'm getting lots of children booking, or families booking via Gold Coast Tourism. So I can then reach out to Gold Coast Tourism. Obviously, they're making bookings for me or they're promoting me. I can maybe give them some extra kids stay free or market more child-friendly activities so they can promote me that way, because that's where I seem to be getting my family bookings from. So lots of great data in here. You can use those column configurations to break things down further. You can even group by different information here. One thing that can be really handy is your rate type. So I can see most of my bookings are just out my standard pricing. Nice and simple, nothing too tricky there. And I can see Newbook Online, or if we scroll down, maybe my breakfast package that I've just been trialing has had 4 bookings. So it's still going pretty well, but for some reason it's not making me any revenue because everyone's cancelling. So I can see it seems successful, but maybe I need to update my cancellation policy by the looks of things. And I can use maybe my last minutes, or that one cancelled as well, or my breakfast included, which is a slightly different rate type, to once again see what of my rate type offers are available and more successful. So if I had stay and pay deals, if I had breakfast packages, VIP specials like I have at the top here, what ones are making me the most money? What ones are getting me the most bookings? And maybe even if I wanted to make my super secret VIP special a 4-night minimum, because they're already generally staying for 3, maybe if I set a minimum, I can get a little bit more extra revenue out of them as well, and just offer maybe extra champagne on arrival or something like that. So all of this data is helping me find out more about who's booking, why they're booking, what they're booking, everything that's going to help me know, okay, well, this is what I want to offer my guests. This is how I want to be able to promote these great offers. Do I want to jump onto Instagram? Do I want to jump onto Facebook, wherever that might be, to try and target those particular guests? What is it I want to offer? Do I want to just, even if it was the walking tracks that I think was on my survey, if I'm getting lots of guests that are interested in all the beautiful walking trails that are around the Gold Coast, maybe I need to have lots of books or free maps on arrival, or even just advertise that some of my staff are really good at doing all those hikes, and they're going to be a wealth of information to my guests when they stay with me to let them know what the best trails and tracks are. Because that's adding value to my property without actually costing me a cent and getting those extra bookings within for it. But I hope all of this information has given you a whole heap of ideas on how to get more information from your guests about what's drawing them to you, of why they want to stay with you. Even pulling through the data that's already in the system about the bookings to see what's most successful, what your guests and your seem to be coming back for. All of that is going to help you with those marketing campaigns when you send them out to your guests to increase your overall revenue and find out what areas that maybe you can work on or what you're doing really well with. So have a bit of a play. If you do have any questions, reach out to our lovely support team to kind of walk you through if you do get stuck with anything, or use those knowledge-based articles with those step-by-step instructions on how to implement and set some of these things up.